G'day everybody, welcome to yet another Azure RoundUp session. This time we have Yun with us who is going to take us through Azure RoundUp, Azure Cognitive Search, the basics. So Yun, over to you, mate.
Hello, my name is Yoon Kyung. I'm joining and speaking from Korea. Nice to meet you all through this Azure Roundup. I'm going to talk about the basic concept of Azure Cognitive Search today. So I'm ready.
I'm looking forward to it.
Can I start?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Okay, let me start sharing my screen first.
So I'm very much looking forward to this, Yun. I'm interested to see how cognitive search is actually going to work.
Okay, so this is very basic concept, so you can easily follow up. So I'm going to talk about cognitive search. Have you heard about cognitive search before, George?
I've heard about cognitive services, but not specifically cognitive search.
Okay.
Is it any? Yeah, can you help me understand some of the where it sits and where I would potentially use it?
Okay. Formerly, it was called as Azure Search.
Oh, okay.
But now it's cognitive search, which means, like you said, it's cognitive service combined with Azure Search.
Okay.
So both services combined and make more synergy.
Got it.
So cognitive search is search as a service, fully managed service by Azure platform. So let's talk about more. When we normally mainly talk about the search service, it consists of two parts. So the first part is index, and the other part is query. Compared to other search services, cognitive search has a key value and key difference during this index stage. Okay. So we call it AI enrichment.
Right.
So let's talk about what is AI enrichment can provide by cognitive search.
I was going to ask what that actually meant when you talked about AI enrichment.
Yeah, talk about it soon. So let's say there is a PDF file, and this PDF file contains someone's travel review feedback. So it contains the verbal text here, and it also contains some image. Let's say he traveled London, and then he mentioned about his feeling and his thought about the travel. And the picture shows the London Bridge.
Got it.
And he's in here. And the picture also contains some information about London Bridge. If it is normal search, it connects to this data and cracks the information from the document and extract the information, such as metadata of the file, like who is the author of the file, or what size of it, and what's the extension, those kind of meta information.
Okay.
And
does it get also, sorry, Yun, does it get the author from the file itself, or does it have to have author information written inside the file, inside the text information?
Actually, it's the meta information of the file.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of metadata it extracts. And of course, the search service can extract the contents itself within the file. That is text. So those kind of basic information can be extracted during the cracking stage. Once it's done, language analyzer do some processing and then stores it as an index. So end users may ask a question or query to this search, then it real fast scans the index and return quite fast. That's why they are building an index. So this is how just normal search works. Okay. If it is Azure Cognitive Search, it can add value here. Other than the extracting basic information, it can add insights, additional insights. What is additional insights? If the original document contains embedded image and it has some object, then it will do the vision analyze. So it detects the object and the picture. If there is character, it will detect the text using OCR. If there is a breach, it also detects some landmark information using visual analyze. Not only for visual analyze, it can also do text analytics.
Mm-hmm.
So other than just extracting original text, it just analyzes the original text so
Okay,
that
so I can. Sorry, I was going to say. So I can see that it's using a lot of the actual cognitive services to do a lot of these insights. Correct?
sure,
Yeah.
correct. So it detects the language of what kind of language the customer used to give the feedback, and it can also detect the mood of overall mood of customer,
Mm.
the sentiment. Is it good feedback or the bad feedback?
Yeah.
Or if it contains some informations, then it will just extract the key phrases only. Those kind of information and valuable insights can be also extracted.
Got it.
So cognitive search can make it different using additional insight. That is why we called AI enrichment or
Got it.
AI enrichment pipeline.
So it's sort of it's a smarter search.
Yes, smarter search,
Yeah.
AI powered search.
That's
But
really
you know
cool.
what? Who is going to provide this? It's
Mm.
not actually cognitive search. Behind
All
the
right.
scene, it's done by cognitive service that you mentioned.
Mm.
So cognitive service has this kind of vision analyze and text analyze, those kind of features. And it will closely working with cognitive search and helping cognitive search to extract more information from the original data source. So let end users can explore more insights. For example, let's say end user ask about the London, but unfortunately, the original customer feedback within this text, it doesn't contain any keyword of London.
Mm-hmm.
But the picture, embedded picture, has a London keyword and the
Got it.
London Bridge image.
Mm.
If it is normal search, if you end user just query about London, then it's not going to detect and find these documents. So end user going to be upset. But if it is Azure Cognitive Search, even the contents doesn't have a London keyword, but we can extract more insights from the image. So this document can be found and satisfy our end user customers. So this is the basic concept of
Mm.
cognitive search and why it is different, how um, it stays.
That's really cool.
Okay,
That's
I'm going
really
to
cool.
show more details through using the demo. But before I
Mm-hmm.
move to the demo, I'm going to give the key component consists of Azure Cognitive Search. Actually, this part is the data source. So when you create Azure Cognitive Search and build your own search service, first thing you need to do is you need to specify the data source you're going to connect. So Azure Cognitive Search connect to the data source and do the basic extraction here, right? Basic document cracking. And then the second thing is using cognitive service here.
Mm.
It's going to define skill sets. We call it skill sets.
Got it.
So these skill sets extracted by cognitive service within the text or within embedded images. Once you define skill sets, what you need to do is you need to design your index. Say, for example, you extract column 1, column 2, column 3, 4, 5 from the basic information. And then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is extracted using cognitive skill, the skill sets. Then you actually decide out of this 10, which field you're going to expose to your end user. Let's say, okay, I'm going to 3, 4, 5, or 7, 8 fields are only retrievable and filterable and sortable by end user. Those kind of activities is designing your final indexes. Okay, it's filterable, it's sortable, or it's searchable, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost all. Then the last step that you need to do is you need to keep moving the data source, original data, to the index. We call it indexer.
Got it.
So what indexer does, you define skill set. So mapping the skill set to indexer. And then, moving the data and filling out the index periodically. That's
Mm-hmm.
what indexer is doing.
Right.
Here is another thing that I wanted to add. Okay, Microsoft Azure Cognitive Search is closely working with Cognitive Service. If the functionality or the features that Cognitive Service cannot provide, we call it cognitive skills, right? How can I do this? Actually, there are two types of skill sets. First thing is pre-built in, which means cognitive service support it. So you don't need to code and you don't need to implement anything. You just use cognitive services to extract more insights. If this cannot satisfy you, you can bring your own module. That is, we call it custom skills. So custom skills, you can integrate with other Azure services. Let's say you have a logic and you have module. You wanted to host and expose it using Azure function, you can do it. Or if you wanted to build another model which predict your brand name or your company name, then you can build your model using Azure Machine Learning. But if you have your own web service, then you can also use it as a custom skills.
Okay, that's really nice.
Yeah, so here we can have some flexibility using the built-in skills, or you have bring your own models or modules. We can help you extract more insights from the original data source. These are how cognitive search is working, especially during the index stage. Actually, cognitive search has lots of features. It also provides synonyms or auto-completing, but not only for full text searching, like a keyword searching, it also provides the semantic search, which sits during the querying stage. But today I'm going to focus on AI enrichment. I'm going to show you a demo with Azure Portal. This is Azure Portal. Let me zoom it. I have already created Azure Cognitive Search and Cognitive Service. And I also created the storage, which is going to be used my data source. Let me open Knowledge, which is a cognitive search. There are actually two ways that you can build your own cognitive search. You can use your SDK from your code, but I'm going to use the Portal UI to build my own data set. Let me just start, click Import Data, and then choose what kind of data source I can connect. These are all Azure storages. So you may ask me like this, what if my data source is not in Azure? What if my data is on premise? Or I have a data, but it's not within this supported data source. I have a Cassandra, how can I connect it? Yeah, this is the built-in pooling approach. If you have those kind of requirement, then you can use push API so that you can implement your own code and push your data into Azure Cognitive Search. Here, I'm going to use my blob storage. The name is myKB. These are the basic information that I'm going to extract it. I'm going to extract the contents and metadata together. And then I'm going to select what kind of storage I'm going to use as my data source. I have a data source, blob storage, and going to use marges as my source container. Now I'm done with my data source. Let me move on. Just clicking next. Then it's going to be validate and cracking basic information from my data source. Now it's time to define my skill sets. To do that, first I need to define cognitive service. I have two cognitive service. For this time, I'm going to use this knowledge AI. Okay, I've set it. And next, what exactly I'm going to extract more? First, I need to do is I'm going to enable this OCR so that if the original document contains images, I'm going to extract the text from the image and merge it from original contents. I'm going to use this merged contents from now on as a source.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need to select. This is the text part. This is the vision analyze part. Okay, I'm going to extract the location information and key phrases. I also wanted to detect the language. If there is a non-English, then I'm going to translate into English. So I wanted to listen my non-English speaking customers' feedback also.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to detect the object from the image or the description of the image, I'm going to enable here. So I'm done with defining my skill sets. Here, another part is knowledge store. I'm not going to show it today, but if you wanted to use this additional extracted data, not by your search service, but you are going to consume it, with another service, you are going to use this data using your own Power BI, you can save it as a knowledge store. So other than search service, other services like BI can consume this data too. Let me just skip for this time. Now I'm done with my cognitive skills. I'm just using pre-built-in skills for this time. And it's time to design my final index. Okay, these kind of fields can be extracted from the original document. I'm going to use the storage name. I'm going to use the author name. You need to define what field you're going to retrieve, filter, sorter, or fetchable or searchable. It's your call. You need to define what you're going to expose and what you're going to use the field as sorting key, something like that. So once you define, then you need to move. So now everything is done. One thing left is indexer. Okay, there is a resource who periodically moving the skill sets to the index. So make sure your index is up to date. You can set the schedule here. Do you need it hourly basis or daily basis? You can also do some incremental updates with this preview now. So I'm not going to click this submit, but instead I'm going to show my previously made the data. Okay, go to the data source. I've already imported my data sets here. And go to the skill sets. Here, as you can see, there are 7 skill sets I extracted. Let me just open it. Even I configured it using my Portal UI, but all the configurations are converted to JSON. So cognitive search handles this kind of things in JSON format. So here you can see skills. Okay, what kind of skills? It's entity recognition. So name of contents. So let me draw a little bit. Okay, it gets input from merged contents, which is original contents plus OCR extracted text. And then it also get the language. With these 2 inputs, it can generate the outputs. Like does this text contains the location information or some other entity information? It can be extracted and added to the skill sets. Let me scroll down a little bit. Okay, this is the sentimental. So skill set type is sentimental skills. And it's going to take 2 inputs from original data, the merged contents and the language information, and it will generate the sentimental score. Overall, how the customer feels about the location or their service, something like that. That is the overall sentimental score. Yeah, those kind of skills you can define using UI, but at the same time, you can start from JSON. And those kind of things you can see here how it look like. For example, you wanted to using Azure function and try to extract some private extractor, which is your custom skills. The template looks like that. It's going to use custom skills API, web API skills, right? And then, yeah, it's going to take what kind of input and what kind of output is going to be generated. So this is the template of custom skills. So once you're done with your skill sets, it's time for index again. Here you can see the index definition. It's also converted to the JSON. Here you can see all the field that you are focusing and exposed to the index. The first field is contents. And as you can see here, it's not fastable, it's not filterable, but it's retrievable. So you're going to let your end user can retrieve this, but it's not filterable and sortable.
Okay.
Let me see.
And those are all those settings we did earlier, obviously. So it can be retrievable, it can be searchable, but if they wanted those other settings, they'd have to check on those settings earlier or change the settings, correct?
Yes, yes. And if you wanted to make a change, then you can update this JSON and save it, or you can use it using the REST API. Just update the JSON.
Got it.
Here there is a meta information. Let me just scroll down so that I'm going to check the cognitive skills. Okay, here I can see the field name is sentiment, which is extracted by cognitive services. This field is not fastable, but filterable and retrievable and sortable.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want your end users how to connect this field. This is the index. Yeah, the last thing you need to do is indexer. You can click this. Here you can see the history of execution. It successfully moves all data from data source to the index. And you can check the history of this indexer. The definition of indexer, you can also see this JSON.
Does it, just out of interest, if the indexer has any issues doing its job, is there a notification that can get sent for administration purposes?
Yes, yes. You can see the fail logs here, and you can also see the detail logs here.
Yep.
Or you can make a Azure automation to make an alert those kind of things fully integrated with Azure Monitor, yeah,
Perfect.
you can use it.
Great.
So
Thank you.
let's see how does it look like. It mainly has the field mapping. It need to mapping the skill set to index field. So field mapping, you can see the original key set is keyword. And using this field, you can move it to the index key phrases, right? So this is source and this is the target. This is skill set and this is the index field. So mapping, which is going to be to where. An indexer is not only for mapping, it also periodically update and filling out the index. That's the main role of this indexer. So this is almost all about how you can build your Azure Cognitive Search using your own data. If you think you're done, then you can quickly check your index is your search and your index, your search is working well or not. Let me just, ask a question. Okay, I'm going to know about the London hotel. Then it gives me lots of information. I don't know how many hits. So let me just add more. Like, okay, give me counted number. Now I can see there are 72 hitting documents. Okay,
Yep.
because this is very large number, because London hotel, any of this word hit, then it will show the results. So I'm going to use search mode. Give me both, the document contains both of word. Okay, now you can see there is 18.
Got it.
Yeah, much better. Okay, but still there are many informations so that I can do some select. I can mark some specific columns. Okay, I'm going to introduce only sentimental score. Then you just put the field name here. Then you can see the sentimental score only. So like this, you can use your query. I mean, query part is also another topic. You can use keyword, or you can use the Lucene, or you can use semantic search. So maybe next time I'll get back again with the query part. That's all about me from today, George. Let me over it to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Ewan. That's I've certainly learned a lot today. Quite good that we've actually got those services tied in together now, especially using the cognitive search component, or cognitive services within the cognitive search component. So thank you very much, Ewan, for coming and talking to us about Azure Cognitive Search, and hopefully we'll get you in another time to get a bit more deep into it if people want to hear it. So thanks, Ewan.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.